I'm going to try something here. I'm going to read this segment from the American Rifleman magazine once a month or a week or some period of time. I'm going to read these little stories about armed self-defense scenarios that actually happened around the country. I think they're pretty interesting. So here we go. In Dandridge, Tennessee, around 10 p.m. on June 4th, a man watched as a Ford F-150 pickup stopped on the street outside his home and backed up. A man then reportedly exited the vehicle carrying a sword and threatened to kill the homeowner. The homeowner grabbed a firearm he kept in his vehicle and shot the assailant dead. Police said the suspect still had the sword in hand when they arrived and took possession of the body for an autopsy. Source, StandardBanner.com from Jefferson City, Tennessee, 6/4/26. Next on The Armed Citizen. On the afternoon of May 3rd in Philadelphia, a homeowner discovered a woman trying to break into his home through a back window. He warned her to stop, but the woman continued inside anyway, compelling the homeowner to fire shots at her. The homeowner then tried to render aid, but the woman was later pronounced dead at the hospital. At some point, the occupants of the home did make themselves known that they were inside, and this person refused to, based on the information we have, refused to stop, a police investigator told reporters. It appears that this is a case of a person defending oneself inside their own home. Source, NBCPhiladelphia.com, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 5/3/2026. Continuing, on May 11th, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, a man began firing a rifle as he walked down a busy street. Security video from the incident showed the man yelling and firing erratically as he walked. The man is reported to have fired 50 to 60 rounds, striking 2 men and at least a dozen cars. As people abandoned their vehicles and fled in the stopped traffic, an armed citizen and a state police trooper fired back at the assailant, striking him multiple times and ending the attack. The suspect is a 46-year-old with a significant criminal history who is out on probation. He was convicted of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and witness intimidation in 2014. Then, in 2020, he was charged with attempting to kill police officers. He was sentenced to 5 to 6 years in state prison, followed by probation, despite the district attorney at the time recommending a 12-year sentence. Once released from the hospital, he faces new charges, including 2 counts of armed assault with intent to murder. The armed citizen who assisted the trooper was a U.S. Marine veteran and was a licensed concealed carrier in the restrictive state. This incident lasted minutes thanks to the actions of that trooper and that civilian, the current district attorney said in a news conference. Source, CBSNews.com, Boston, Massachusetts, 5/12/2026. Next up, in LaGrange, Georgia, on the morning of May 13th, a man walked up to the counter at a convenience store and handed the clerk a note that read, "Put all the money in a bag." The clerk responded by pulling out the firearm he kept beneath the counter, whereupon the would-be robber grabbed his note and fled. Police are still searching for the suspect. Source, WTVM.com, Columbus, Georgia, 5/14/2026. Time for some more. A driver in Charleston, West Virginia, pulled over around 10:30 p.m. on May 18th because someone was driving aggressively and they wanted to avoid escalating the situation. However, the other driver, a 63-year-old man, made a U-turn, exited his vehicle, and confronted the first driver. The aggressive driver then allegedly struck the first driver several times, causing him to respond by firing 1 shot into the suspect's abdomen. The armed citizen then contacted police and remained at the scene for the investigation. The suspect was transported to the hospital but died of his wound. Source, WOWKTV.com, Huntington, West Virginia, 5/19/2026.
Do it, do small.
Okay, French guy from True Lies, I will. Early in the morning of May 21st in Marlin, Texas, a woman was forced to defend her underage children from a relative who began stabbing them. The relative, who reportedly suffered from health issues that caused tension, was shot fatally. 3 stabbing victims, 2 of whom were juveniles, were reported to be in stable condition at the hospital. Source: KWTX.com, Waco, Texas, 5/21/2026. All right, last tale of self-defense horror from the August 2026 issue of American Rifleman magazine. A 31-year-old man emerged naked from a river in Biloxi, Mississippi around 8 p.m. on May 23rd and approached a home. The homeowner was not there, but seeing the man on his security video footage, contacted his neighbor to check whether the stranger needed assistance. The neighbor agreed, but when he approached, the naked man attacked him. Fortunately, the neighbor was armed and managed to defend himself by shooting the assailant multiple times. The adversary fled back into the river but was discovered dead of several gunshot wounds early the next morning. The neighbor suffered facial lacerations and bruises but was not severely injured, and the entire incident was captured on the security video. Source: WLOX.com, Biloxi, Mississippi, 5/27/2026.
Oh, ce shit. Harry, c'est de la merde.
So this section in the American Rifleman magazine is very interesting. The Armed Citizen section, which is apparently a registered trademark. So all props to them. This is not my material. I didn't research it. This is from the Armed Citizen section of the American Rifleman magazine, which is published by the NRA. And this is the August 2026 issue. So there you go. That should sidestep any plagiarism claims. I'm just reporting it. It's really useful information that they compile every month in their magazine that illustrates the importance of being able to arm yourself. I think the Cambridge, Massachusetts example in this issue is particularly striking because Massachusetts is a very restrictive state in terms of carry and gun ownership, and some guy got a rifle, some guy who was a career criminal basically, got himself a powerful rifle and decided, not surprisingly, to go shoot people, and he was only stopped by 2 good guys with guns. So I know that that's one of the cliched tropes that the left-wing people kind of point to the NRA as relying on as being presumptively false, but there you go. There's an example of it not being false, and it being really important that it's not false. So yeah, this is a really important section, and I wanted to share it because I know there's a lot of people who don't get this information, and I'm glad the NRA, through their magazine American Rifleman, publishes this stuff. But what do you guys think? These are some interesting cases. Some of them seem more clear-cut self-defense than others. The naked guy emerging from the river, that's kind of a tough one because he's naked. He's not armed. Didn't say he was armed. And the neighbor, shot him and killed him. I don't know about that one. It kind of depends on Mississippi law, and I am not familiar with Mississippi law. Plus, the neighbor wasn't on his own property, so if I were to say that if your neighbor calls you up and tells you to go deal with somebody on their property, you should tell them, not my problem. But that's just me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned.